Hey everybody, it's Josh over at Spars International. Hope you guys have a good Friday and the rest of your weekend. Today we're going to talk a little bit about common issues dealing with feeding, and that goes for any Glock that either you get from us or whether it's a slide, lower, whatever, it doesn't matter who you get it from. Some common issues with feeding that you'll run into a lot with aftermarket parts. A lot of us in the industry, we strive to make everything tighter. The hope is all of that will translate down the road to better, more consistent accuracy. One of the first things that we're going to talk about is extractors. Uh, Extractors have a tendency to chip over time. All we can do is focus on making them better. Ours that we produce right now, that we call the pro grade extractor, it's made out of 17.4 stainless, same thing as our slides. So it is hard. It's a lot harder than the factory extractors, but unlike 416, 417 offers a lot more, or sorry, 17.4, not 417. 17.4 offers a lot more in impact resistance that'll help keep it from cracking over time. The same goes for our slides. So one of the big issues that people run into, especially when dealing with optic mounted slides, is they'll throw a slide on, they'll throw their optic on, they'll run out to the range, they'll run into feeding issues right away. The first thing that you're going to want to check is your screws. Your screws for the mounting the optic, you should always make sure prior to going out to the range. Take your extractor compressor plunger out. That's this little guy right here. From the factory, it'll usually be silver and have a plastic cap instead of steel like ours. And what you're going to want to do is take that out, look at the screw for the optic on the right side, and make sure that it is free and clear of the hole for your extractor plunger channel. If it's not, doesn't take much. Take a file, a belt sander, whatever, shave a little bit off the bottom of that screw. Make sure you have that clearance, because 9 times out of 10, when we have a customer that runs into an issue with feeding, it's because their extractor's bound up, whether it's from the screw or adding too much Loctite. That'll kind of segue us over into the next thing I want to hit on as far as selection for Loctite goes. Please never use red Loctite when mounting your optic. Blue is typically the industry standard. I don't even like using blue anymore. Main reason because, as we have found numerous times, people will drown their screws in blue Loctite. I'm talking so much that we have to hammer out an extractor to plunger just to find out that that channel is loaded with blue Loctite that has solidified over time. What it's causing is, by binding up your extractor, the round from your magazine cannot slip underneath the extractor. That's what causes a lot of these feed issues. If the extractor can't snap over your next round, it's going to jam. What we use now, and what we're actually including with all of our slides, whether you send us your slide to be milled or whether you buy a slide from us, is we're including VC3 from Vibrotite. The reason being is because it handles the vibrations of the slide reciprocating better, and you're not going to have runoff. With normal Loctite, a lot of the times you get is, because it's more liquid, it'll run all up and down the screw. You'll set the screw in, and it'll just keep dripping down into your depressor plunger channel until it basically solidifies. And that's what causes a lot of these issues. The second issue is going to be your recoil unit tension. If you have a lot of rounds on your gun, you've had it for a few years, change your recoil spring. You don't have to go with one of ours. We like ours because it's a quick change. One guide rod, you throw the spring on whenever you need to. You can up or down the weight as you need to, depending on whether you're shooting for competition, specific loads, however you want to do it. It's fully customizable to your spring weight. We offer a 17th round factory spring because that's mostly what we still focus on is duty. If you need competition springs, just let us know. Shoot us an email on customer care, and we can talk about ordering you some custom sets of springs. As far as what we have on the website, though, is pretty much still all OEM spec as far as the weight goes. But that's going to be your next thing that you want to look at. If you're still having feed issues like that, double check your mags. I know a lot of people out there, they say they never had an issue with their mags. It's not a big deal. Just take your finger over the front edge of your follower, give it a quick check. You should feel a fair amount of resistance coming off of that spring. If not, time to change your spring. Next big thing, and this affects almost every aftermarket slide out there, is you're going to want to check your connector tension, especially if your slide is hanging up a little bit out of battery. Because I know we get it every time somebody will walk into the shop, bring their gun in and say, I'm having an issue, my gun won't go into battery. And they'll show me, and they'll go like this. See how that didn't hang up? It's because I don't have a lot of connector tension on my slide. But they'll barely push it, and it'll hang up a little bit out of battery like that. It's not a big deal for it to only hang out when you're putting that little bit of pressure on it, because firing the gun, your slide's never going to reciprocate that slow. Even a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll rack it real hard. Most of the times, that's harder than the slide's going to rack when you're firing. All you got to do is check your connector tension, pull the slide back, let it go. If you're having issues, you'll know that you're having issues, because not only is the slide hanging up out of battery, but you'll see once you get the slide off, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not, there's this hump right here underneath the slide. A lot of times what will happen is you'll get a groove starting to wear, and the start of it will always just be a silver line. The silver line underneath that is going to be too much extractor tension. Ghost Inc. does a great video that we send links to everybody that has connector tension issues as far as how to alleviate that tension and basically tune the bend angle. So you don't want to be 90 degrees, otherwise your gun's never going to reset. You want that angle as far as your connector versus your housing being just outside of the 90 degrees of the housing. That's going to give you your best trigger pull, and that's going to give you a consistent trigger pull, as well as a positive reset. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just to recap, things you're looking for, especially for feeding issues, for people that are either running guns, have ran the same gun for a long time, or pop a new slide on there. Check extractor tension, check your screws for your optic to make sure that you have a clear passageway for that extractor compressor plunger to move freely. Check your magazines, your springs on those. I honestly couldn't tell you how long to check them, how often to check them, because it kind of varies from spring to spring, as well as the generation of the mag. I know people like to think it's a Gen 5 Glock, it's a Gen 5 mag. Now it's closer to like a Gen 13 mag. Glock changes the mags a lot more than they change their guns. After that, check your connector tension. Those are pretty much the quick, simple fixes of anytime you have battery issues or anytime you have feeding issues. Other than that, hope you guys have a good weekend.